Before we start, we have to get a clear understanding of what fear is. And the way that I like to think of that is through this, and I'll make sure that I link to this below for you so you can follow along. One of the very best descriptions of fear, how it feels, and then what it can look like, just so we have a frame for this. Fear is one of the 7 universal emotions experienced by everyone around the world. Isn't that helpful to think about it through the lens of everyone who feels it? You know, it's like, oh, this feels so me. Everybody feels fear? Oh, well, that's kind of reassuring. Fear arises with the threat of harm, either physical, emotional, or psychological, real or imagined. While traditionally considered a negative emotion, fear actually serves an important role in keeping us safe as it mobilizes us to cope with potential danger. So I just want to make sure we're not looking at this through the lens of like, let's bust fear and not ever have fear in our life. Fear is a natural part of life. Feeling fear. The family of fearful experiences can be distinguished in terms of 3 factors: intensity, timing, and coping. So let's go back through those with a little more depth. Intensity. How severe is the harm that is threatened? Timing. Is the harm immediate or impending? Coping. What, if any, actions can be taken to reduce or eliminate the threat? I'm going to say those again. If you're taking notes, really think about this. 3 types of factors involved with fear: intensity, timing, and coping. How severe is the harm that's being threatened? Timing. Is the harm immediate or impending? Coping. What, if any, actions can be taken to reduce or eliminate the threat? When we're able to cope with a threat, this lessens or removes the fear. Alternatively, when we feel helpless to decrease the threat of harm, this intensifies the fear. So, another aspect of fear that I want to make sure we paint as a frame here: what makes us fearful? The universal trigger for fear is the threat of harm, real or imagined. The universal trigger for fear is the threat of harm, real or imagined. This threat can be for our physical, emotional, or psychological well-being. While there are certain things that trigger fear in most of us, we can learn to become afraid of nearly anything. Common fear triggers: darkness, loss of visibility or surroundings, heights or flying, social interaction or rejection. It's a big one in the work that we do in high performance. Snakes, rodents, spiders, and other animals. Death and dying. Those are the big common ones. Moods and disorders. Persistent fear can sometimes be referred to as anxiety if we feel constantly worried about something that we don't know what it is. So if we're constantly worried about something without knowing why, that's kind of what anxiety is about. So the inability to identify the trigger prevents us from being able to remove ourselves or the actual threat from the situation. So I just want to make sure we really get this stirred up. Another definition of fear, taking the letters of fear: false evidence appearing real. And I think that came from Tony Robbins. I mean, it wasn't from him. He referenced it. That's where I first heard it. And that really helped me early on in my personal development self-improvement journey. False evidence appearing real. So we ask ourselves great questions when fear comes up. Why am I fearing this? Is this real? These are some of the things that I ask. I'm like, what in the world am I fearing here? I got this. And if I don't, what help do I need to get this? What am I not asking? What do I not know to handle this fear? So does that help break down what fear is? So often when we want to reduce or diminish fear, just understanding what it is helps reduce it. Does that make sense? So that, I'll make sure that I link to that article for you so that you have a great understanding of this. There's a lot more depth on that article, but I want to just kind of hit the rim of what that is for you.